and I've got bronchitis, so I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to hear me. But getting ready to show my cards, and then my audience will introduce themselves, and I'll start my speech.
Hi, I'm Enrique Ochoa.
Tashina. I'm Precious.
Hi there. The topic is different types of birth control. One major life decision for an adult is to decide on whether or not they're going to have children, or even when they're going to have children, and when to start having them. It's easy to be confused by all the birth control options out there, whether to take the pill or do an injection, get an IUD implanted. If the condom is going to break, what are you going to do as a consequence to that? There's always a possibility that heterosexual sex can lead to a pregnancy that turns out to be unwanted. Unless your method is abstinence, there's always a possibility to become pregnant or contact STDs. So it's important to know and help you decide which option would be best for you. My first set is birth controls with hormones, would be pills, contraceptive pills that help also reduce painful periods, help clear up acne, help regulate PMS, mood swings, and cut back on the risk of uterine infections or cervical cancers. It's important to also know that they can be used also to maybe help hot flashes or regulate a period. They must be taken at the same time every day in order to be 99% effective. The other option would be a mini pill called, it's for progestin only hormone, and it's considered a mini pill because it's not as strong as the combination pill contraceptive. It only contains progestin, not estrogen, and it's effective, but it has to be taken at the exact same time every day. You cannot be more than 3 hours late, or you need to use backup method of birth control. And then there's the extended cycle pill that you take, and they come in 3-month packs, and you have to take them every day. And what it does is wards off your period, or you don't have a period for 3 months at a time. You just have a period every 3 months. And then there's the other pill that's a Librel. It's called Librel. That one takes the period away for a whole year, but you have to take a pill every single day of the year. So if taking pills is not an option for you, there's always the patch. The patch is comes in a package of 3 in a box. You apply a patch for 1 week, and then you wear it for 3 weeks, and then no patch for the 4th week, and that's when you have menstruation. Then there's the Norplant. The Norplant is inserted into the arm. It's the size of like a matchstick, and it's put just under the skin of the bicep of the arm. It lasts for 3 years, and it's also almost 100% effective. There's also an injection called Depo-Provera. The Depo-Provera is inserted into the arm or the buttocks once every month in your doctor's office. That's better for women who have trouble remembering to take their pill every day. And it is also almost 100% effective, and it's more convenient. There is also one called NuvaRing that is a flexible plastic that contains hormones, and it's inserted into the vaginal area to block the cervical opening, and that releases the hormone and helps prevent pregnancy. And you keep it in place for 3 weeks, and then you remove that for the 4th week for menstruation, and you must have a new ring each month. Another form of birth control would be the IUD, which is also called intrauterine device. There's one it's a barrier technique, and there's one that's just the barrier called Paragard, and Paragard is good for up to 10 years. And then there's the Mirena, which is good about 3 to 5 years, but that one is a hormone release IUD. And that's good for people who don't plan on having a child for a while, but those are removable for when you do decide to have children. That's convenient for not having to take a pill or do a patch or the ring, anything like that. So women who smoke or have any sort of heart problems are not recommended to use hormone birth control of any kind, because that increases their risks to develop more health problems. There are birth controls available over the counter without hormones, such as like condoms. Condoms are the ideal birth control as far as not transmitting sexually transmitted diseases or enabling a pregnancy, just because there's no transmission of fluids, and it reduces the risk of contamination to other people. And you want to use latex or polyurethane condoms, not lambskin, because lambskin doesn't protect from all STDs. The good thing about condoms that are latex or polyurethane are that they also help prevent HIV infection. The thing about wearing a condom is it's not as desired of a form of birth control, just because it lessens the sensitivity, feeling of sexual contact, so men are less likely to want to wear one. But it is always great to use that along with your other birth control of any kind that you decide to use, just to prevent the STDs from occurring, or as a backup method for pregnancy prevention. There are things called sponges or caps or diaphragms. Those are inserted right before intercourse, and they're left in for a little time after intercourse, and then you can remove it and clean it off or whatever and put it back in your purse and wait for the next time. Those are used with spermicidal jellies or creams to help kill off any viable sperm that could cause a pregnancy. However, those won't prevent STDs from occurring. The thing with the diaphragm is that you do need a doctor to fit you to be able to use those, so it will fit your vaginal opening correctly in order to be more effective. The other option, of course, is sterilization. As people that don't want any children or are done having children, and they would choose, the woman would get tubal ligation, or the man could get a vasectomy, and those options are not suggested for people who want to change their mind and have children later and become a family. Those are considered irreversible for the most part. It's more of a permanent decision, and they are just procedures that are surgically performed to prevent any pregnancies from occurring. But again, those are not helpful in preventing STDs, so even if you were to have sterilization, you still probably want to use a condom as a good idea to not contact STDs. Abstinence would be another choice of a birth control. Abstinence is the only way you're not going to get STD or pregnancy. That is just choosing not to have any sexual contacts with anybody else. And it's the safest alternative for people who aren't ready to engage in all the responsibilities of having an intimate relationship. And then there's also the option that's in the near future, not anytime soon, but they are conducting studies for male birth control, starting as an injection or maybe even an oral contraceptive that's going to help men be more responsible for providing their own birth control, not having to rely on the woman for that. Their formulation needs some more tweaking in order to reduce the side effects that the men are currently having. But the men that have been studied, out of all of them, 75% of them said they would go through that if they had the option or when the option does come in the future. So the biggest reason for birth control failure is neglecting to use the directed method as they're supposed to, correctly or consistently. And women have been the primary responsible partners in having to maintain the birth control to not get pregnant. And the man should be equally responsible. And I'm glad that the male responsibilities are going to start to perk up here in the future. That's going to be great and keep pregnancies from happening. And, if you don't want a child, you should take your part and to prevent birth control or prevent conception from happening. There are enough unwanted pregnancies in the world, and it's followed by children who end up in the system, and then they are a statistic, and it's pretty sad. No one deserves to be brought into this world and to be considered a mistake in the beginning of life before they've even began to live